BC Ferries is in troubled water. I mean, is there a bridge over troubled water? Well, there's no bridge. It's just a super highway. It's supposed to be a super highway, because when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, this ferry, yeah, you're going to see some serious turbulence on the water. Yeah, so stay tuned. As today's show, we're going to be talking about BC Ferries. Are they sailing today? Are they not sailing today? Tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll talk about it next. Stay tuned.
PWD Allies, the best disability podcast in Canada. Starring your hosts, Brent Frain. And as always, his producer and editor, Neil Matheson.
Thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Today's show is going to be, we're going to be talking about BC Ferries. So if you live on the south coast of British Columbia and you take BC Ferries, either on a regular basis or on a semi-regular basis, or maybe as a tourist or as a commuter, or hey, you're coming from other provinces across Canada and you want to come up to the west coast. Well, first of all, in Horseshoe Bay, West Vancouver, you need to have a reservation if you're driving across from Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay. Yeah, so you can't just pull up there and not have a reservation because there's BC Ferries they have contractors that are doing construction on revamping their old ferry terminal. So you can't just pull up and not have a reservation. So you may want to look into that first before pulling up. If you're a foot passenger, it's no problem. You could just walk on. But here's the problem. Sure, you can walk on if the ferry is going to be there. That's in Horseshoe Bay. Now, if you want to go from Tsawwassen, our other major terminal in the south coast of British Columbia, and you want to go over to Duke Point, or you want to go from Tsawwassen over to Swartz Bay Ferry Terminal, same thing.
Swartz Bay is Victoria, we should say.
Swartz Bay, Victoria, and from Tsawwassen over to Duke Point is Duke Point, Nanaimo. It's not right in Nanaimo. It's based just south of Nanaimo. There is no transit access at Duke Point, so just a little heads up there. There is no regional transit service from Duke Point to Nanaimo. Very unfortunate because there should be about accessibility. And again, we talk about accessibility. You can walk on as a foot passenger. It's great if you're walking on as a foot passenger. You may have to wait if there's sailing waits. BC Ferries is notorious for having sailing waits due to the volume of traffic and amount of people.
Yeah, sorry, Brent. Let's start there, though, because I know originally you wanted to talk about the ferries and talk about accessibility. So that was going to be a big part of the discussion today. Except, we're talking about BC Ferries here. And we know that one thing we wanted to say off the top of the show is that, BC Ferries, any ferry system is basically an extension of our highways, right? Our provincial highways, and it's an extension of our highway system. So when the ferries don't run, when there's a problem with the ferries, it really throws a wrench in things. I mean, how do you get traffic moving on a highway, on a water highway when there's no highway, right?
Yeah.
Because
unless we have flying ferries.
For people that aren't from BC, we'll give a little quick rundown. I mean, you just started the show with bridge over troubled water, and that's we've got a water highway that's full of trouble now. Because in March and April, there's been so many breakdowns of our ferries. I'm going to start off talking about our legacy. They're called legacy vessels on the BC Ferries website. If you go to the website and you look up their legacy vessels, they've got is it four or five? They've got five legacy vessels. The oldest one is Queen of New Westminster, and that was built in 1964, Brent, and it's still running.
It was born
Queen of New
before I was
Westminster,
born.
1964, and then we've got another legacy vessel, Queen of Coquitlam. That was built in 1974, and you have another one, Queen of Surrey, which was also built in 1974, and then you've got two that were built in 1976, and that's the Queen of Cowichan and the Queen of Alberni. So that's five ships, and we have to say all these ships were actually built in North Vancouver, which is cool. Either by Seaspan or there's also something called Allied Shipbuilders. So it's either Allied Shipbuilders or Seaspan. And so that's cool that it was these were made in BC ships.
Absolutely.
But well, and we're going to get into this later on. But there's four ships that are going to be built, Brent, and I'll turn it over to you, and you can explain when they're going to get built and who is going to be building them, Brent.
Yeah. When are they going to get built? Well, these ships that need to be replaced.
So there's five ships. There's five ships really that should be replaced. I just listed them, the legacy vessels, and they're going to be replaced by four ships.
Four, yeah.
So there's five ships that are legacy that should be out of service already.
Yeah.
And they're going to be replaced by four ships. We have to say that off the top.
Yeah.
Anyway,
To everyone watching this right now, so make that make sense, right? We have five old ships there's more ships than that, but there's five legacy ships that Neil had just mentioned that need to be replaced. But they're going to replace those five ships with four ships. Now the reason, well, I'll get to the reason on that one in just a few moments of the reason why. But when are they going to get built? So that's the big question. People are like, okay, well, when are they going to get built? Well, at the earliest is 2029. They're going to come out in shipments. All right. So the shipments of the ferries are going to start arriving in 2029 and to 2030, 2031.
They're saying most likely 2031.
Yeah, most likely. But you're going to get four of them now.
So that's a whole 5 years away, Brent. 5 years away. You're gonna have four ships built to replace five ferries.
Yeah,
in 5 years.
Yeah, on the major routes. These are the
major routes.
So here's the problem: is I'm hearing that these ferries, when they do arrive, are not all going to go on the major routes. They're going to go to some of the outlying islands in the south coast. We have other islands, everyone who are not familiar with BC Ferries. We have the Queen Charlotte Islands. We have we have like a whole bunch of smaller little islands that the ferries go to, and off the major routes. Yeah, so they actually will go to different ports and they'll dock. It's quite neat actually, because you can actually check out. When the ferries are running, you can actually check out some of the small islands. It's great for tourism, but you have to have patience because if you get there and you find that now you're stranded because the ferry broke down, and they do break down quite a bit.
Yeah, and we haven't really even got into that, but I was gonna ask. I was gonna give you a trivia question first, Brent. Do you know how many ferry vessels make up the BC ferry fleet? Do you know how many ferries there are in the system right now currently?
How many currently that are actually running?
That are running currently now.
That haven't been retired.
Yeah, there's a lot of them been retired, but currently running ships.
Yeah, what is it? 12?
No, there's 37. Because you have to account for the all the smaller routes.
Yeah, exactly.
And the smaller ferries. But so there's 37 vessels total. And I did want to make a breakdown. We already said that there was a lot of the older ferries, especially that were built here locally, which is great. But of the 37 vessels now, 13 were manufactured in Poland. Uh, there's one from Germany and one from Italy.
Hmm.
So that's a total of 15. And then there's under construction, there's actually four smaller vessels coming from Romania, and
Mhm.
they're supposedly coming online in 2027.
Wow.
And we haven't yet mentioned where the other four vessels are coming from, Brent, in the 2031 ones. They're coming from China,
China. Yes.
from communist China. And those are the big boats that are gonna, like we already said, we're gonna replace five ferries. We're gonna get four ferries to replace five,
Hmm.
and those are coming in 2031.
Yeah, they can't get built in Poland or Norway, and
Yeah,
a lot of other countries that they were built in before. Gee, yeah.
I
Why do
mean,
they build them here?
you know, uh, if there was a little bit more foresight, I mean, I know when all this stuff happened with the president of the United States, Eby was like all like, buy Canada, buy BC.
Hmm.
And what was the very next thing he did
Yeah.
after? He's like, he announced, BC's gonna be getting four ferries built from China. And
Yeah.
and it's like, you
Yeah.
know,
Like why? Huh.
yeah, and I mean, getting the ferries built back here in BC, I mean that would be such a huge political win.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't I
Huge.
don't I don't care how much more expensive. Like we know it would be more expensive because you're not paying slave wages, right? You're not paying slave wages. Unionized workers,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be using quality BC steel and on all the rest of it, and
Hmm.
quality BC workers. So you're going to be paying a premium for that.
Oh,
But how many voters, Brent, would be pissed off if there was five new ferries that were going to be built again here in BC by C-SPAN? How many voters would be pissed off at that, Brent? And knowing that you're there, knowing that you're going to be creating an evergreen industry of a shipbuilding industry
absolutely.
of like thousands of workers, and who knows how much like spillover of tourism and everything
Oh,
else.
so it'd be huge, Neil. I mean, the benefits of building locally, is sure it'll benefit the unionized workers, or any workers that basically want to jump onto that opportunity of building ferries locally. It's not even just the workers; it's the spillover effect too, as of
Yeah,
their families, people in the community. It blossoms, the revenue goes
yeah,
back in, and it
yeah,
builds up tourism. It builds up confidence of people from around the world saying, "Hey, these ferries are built locally. They're built on our shipyards in BC."
yeah,
And I get it. Like, yeah, the cost is going to be huge. Right off the top, right? But the long term effects of that
yeah,
cost is going to make the ferries more viable.
yeah,
Uh, they won't break down as often. I mean, sure, they probably have to get some retrofits and a few tweaks here and there, but is investing in the long-term growth of BC ferries locally rather than contracting out to China or some of
well,
like.
yeah, and talking about retrofits, Brent, let's go back. Like, people that are in BC know this too, but remember the Fast Cat ferries,
Yes, I
you
rode one
know,
of those. I rode
and
one of those.
they were nice boats. They
They
looked
were,
nice, right? They were beautiful boats.
as long as they ran.
I went on them. They were
Yeah,
great.
they were.
But they weren't built for these and they were contracted. Wasn't it? They were German, weren't they? Or were they German?
I believe so.
I
Yes.
think they were German. They were built in Germany. And again, what's the big problem with outsourcing to another country is that other country doesn't know your local waters. They had no idea. It was like they built the boat for like a one size fits all, right?
Hmm.
They built the ferries for one size fits all. The warp perfectly in your waters, no problem. But what happened, Brent? They weren't built for our waters.
Yeah.
The engines were sucking up big trees and stuff like that,
Oh
and
yeah.
and they just were not suitable for the waves and
All the
turbulence
logs,
of the
yeah, all the logs got just sucked right up into the engines.
into the engines.
And the
Yeah,
engines kept breaking down, and it was going to keep costing more and more to
yeah,
keep getting it fixed. And that's the problem on that. And then the other problem too is those fast caps, they were eroding away the actual shorelines of them coming into the inner harbors too,
that's true. Yeah,
because they were so powerful. They were
yeah.
great when they were out in the water. Oh, perfect. They were fast. I mean,
I mean,
oh,
again, they were beautiful boats. They
oh
were
yeah,
absolutely beautiful boats, but the engines, they were not built for our waters.
yeah,
That's the bottom line. They were not built for our waters,
yeah.
and they tried to retrofit them, and then they tried to slow them down and stuff, and it was just like it just you know again, the problem is that somebody from another country tried to build boats that just they didn't fit. And if they were built here in BC,
Hmm.
the BC people that built them here would have known
Hmm.
what ferries fit our waters, right? What ferries were suitable for our waters,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. They would know best what's good for our
Hmm.
communities. Um,
I
yeah,
wonder if China knows what our waters are like.
well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's gonna take so long to get these ferries built. I mean, the corporation. I mean, they knew years ago that we are going to be needing more ferries and replacing the old ferries and modernize it. I mean, more capacity too because they're bigger and more
Yeah,
population. You're going to have to fit more vessels, more vessels in place to basically fit the amount of vehicles and commercial vehicles that are traveling on there, trucking, all the basically all the goods and services basically across. Right, it's our super highway. When you don't have
yeah,
the ferries operating on a regular basis, they keep breaking down.
yeah,
What happens? I mean, as people know, in the south coast of BC, we get a lot of rain, and when we get these pineapple expresses or atmospheric rivers, whatever you want to call them, the torrential amount of rain. It comes down sometimes. And so we know that the Coquihalla Highway, which is that's the main Highway 1 that goes all the way up and then it connects onto the Coquihalla Highway, right? So
hmm,
that got washed out when we had our atmospheric river. It got washed out, a big portion of it, and it basically just broke off in a whole bunch of areas.
hmm,
It took quite a while to repair it. I mean, great on the team that basically got that highway base up and running.
yeah.
I mean, kudos to them. I mean, I know it was a lot of work. Yeah, it took a lot of manpower to basically make that happen. But in the meantime, it chopped off all connection to
Yeah.
the south coast. All the other highways were closed due to other rock slides, washout of roads. I mean, some of them were completely washed out too. So none of the truckers could even go any of the routes for a
Yeah.
while. Like they couldn't even find another alternative route. Imagine BC ferries.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? A ferry breaks down, 6, 7 sailing weight. I was watching on the news and reading up on this. 7 sailing weights, everyone. So people were having to camp out in their vehicles at the ferry terminal or find alternative transportation,
Yeah.
maybe to another route and drive all the way across Vancouver, go a long way around, all the way down to maybe West Vancouver. There was a couple that went all the way from there, all the way from Tsawwassen. The ferry was broken down. They had to go all the way down to West Vancouver. And guess what? They happened. Well, they were sold out because people were all going down. And now that's quite a distance from Tsawwassen to West Vancouver, down to
Hmm.
Horseshoe Bay. And again, you need to have reservations to travel on there. So if you didn't
Right.
have a reservation,
Yeah.
maybe BC Ferries might have made arrangements for you to maybe change your reservation over to their system over on West Vancouver. But
Remember,
again,
remember the Seinfeld episode? The
yep,
whole point of a reservation is to
on
hold the
the
reservation.
reservation. But the problem there on that route is they don't have as many sailings as the other terminals do. So again, the amount of volume that was already there, people then panicked because they couldn't get on the ferry. Now they're having to
Hmm.
stay there. So
Yeah.
unexpected expenses, having to pay out of pocket to go and stay in accommodation somewhere. Sure, you can submit an invoice off to BC Ferries, and maybe they might be able to reimburse you. I don't know. There's a long waiting list. You have to go on their website, submit a claim to basically
Yeah.
get reimbursed for any costs. But in the meantime, you got to fork it out of your own pocket. What if
Well,
you don't?
let's talk about the breakdowns, Brent,
Yeah.
because just in April and or just in March and April of this year,
Hmm.
there's been so many breakdowns. One of the issues was there was water contamination. There
Hmm.
was we had
Ooh.
E.
Ooh.
coli and
Hmm.
coliform bacteria. Coliform
Oh,
bacteria. Guess what coliform bacteria is from, Brent?
yeah. It doesn't sound.
Feces.
Yeah, that's doesn't sound
Feces.
too good. No.
So you had fecal
Ooh.
matter and E. coli
Oh.
measured in the water in BC Ferries. Like this,
Oh.
we're talking
Oh.
water in the cafeteria,
Yeah. And the pop machines or soda
in
machines.
the pop machines and in the cafeteria.
Huh.
They had measures of coliform bacteria and E. coli, and so
Sure.
yeah, cheers to that. And
Sure.
and so they had a
Ooh.
couple
Ooh.
situations where people got on the ferries and they closed down the cafeteria. No, and they didn't let people know why they were closing down the cafeteria. There was like no food available. They closed everything down,
No
and
food
they
for you.
no food for you. And everybody's like, why are they closing down the cafeteria? This makes no sense.
Hmm.
And they found out after the fact it was because of water contamination. They
Yeah.
closed it down.
Or no coffee for you, right? And
Yeah,
and
no coffee either. No
yeah, that,
coffee either.
yeah, they shut down all the coffee too because the water, right? So yeah.
And the other thing is they've had engine problems, of course. So
Hmm.
so they had one ferry recently. The cars had to back off the ferry.
Yeah.
They had to unload the ferry again and have the cars back off again because the ferry couldn't run because the engine just wouldn't start.
Hmm. Yeah, so when people had to back off, just so that everybody knows, they actually didn't have to like. I mean, they had to back off. They didn't have to back off the ramp though. They actually were able to navigate the traffic on there. It took quite a while, but they had to
Yeah,
get them on the deck that they're on to turn the vehicle around and drive back
yeah.
off that ramp. Now, and then they had to now go back in queue and wait for the next ferry.
Wait again. Yes.
Wait again.
Yeah.
So they've already been waiting for hours. Like some of them were there at before 5 o'clock in the morning, before 5 in the morning, and they still
Mhm.
couldn't even get on that ferry. They finally got on that ferry just to find out that it broke down. Imagine. And now they had to now, and yeah, so they had to wait for the next ferry. And when they got on that ferry had problems.
Yeah.
Wow. So now they
Wow.
had to, well, yeah, some of them just said, forget it. Like
Yeah.
they,
It's a
they
total gong show, right?
accommodation, like I was mentioning, like, with the cost of living, um, who's going to have a whole bunch of extra cash to start paying for major accommodations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sure, you can submit your invoice up to BC Ferries and hope that they're going to, get to it eventually. But again, it's not even just. I mean, that is a major problem, but I mean, you got doctors, nurses, you got people that live on the island or live on the south coast that need to go to Victoria. Maybe they have a specialist appointment in
Yeah.
Victoria, or maybe in Victoria they got a specialist appointment in Vancouver. Like I can give you an example. Like Sonia has to go on a regular basis to for specialist appointments in Vancouver.
Hmm.
She has specialist appointments in Victoria. However, she's found out that some of the specialists that she has here, their colleagues specialize in other things in Vancouver that she has to go to Vancouver. So take BC Ferries, for instance. Okay, so now you got your appointment lined up and you've waited for 9 months to go and get in to see a specialist. Okay,
Hmm.
so the government says, well, do you have documentation that will pay for your the special transportation request? Well, yeah. So the doctor now submits it off. Yeah, okay, but is it the same day? Okay, so here's the quandrum, and this is related to BC Ferries too, because it really causes a huge problem. for commuters. I mean, I'm just using her as an example with this scenario because I know because we've been through this shit.
Yeah.
Right? You
Well,
know,
basically multiply it by hundreds or
oh,
thousands of
hundreds,
people
yeah. But
because again, the ferries are an extension of our highways, right? So again, if you mess with the highway system, the
oh,
water highway,
it's a whole domino effect
yeah,
because then you have to explain yourself to the MSDPR, like you're requesting a special request for a transportation certificate that basically means that they'll pay for your transportation. They'll give you, I think, like $14 for food maximum per day. I believe it is. It's or some ungodly amount. Sonia would probably recall that, but it was not very much at all. Like you can't even buy you can't even buy a meal for that price on BC Ferries. Yeah. So regardless of that, they'll pay for if your appointment is actually that day, that same day, and it's a procedure. They will not pay for you to stay the night. If the appointment is the next day and you can't get back home, maybe you need to stay for procedures first thing in the morning, then the government will say, well, we have no choice but to basically pay for your accommodation and your travel, right? They'll find every single way not to pay for your accommodation and your travel. And I used Google one day. They to get the translation. You ask Google, how do I get from point A to point B? So she's on the phone and she says, well, okay, so this is what time my appointment is. Okay, so technically you could catch the first ferry in the morning. Yeah, I guess, yeah, if the ferry's running, yeah. Okay, so technically you could get to your appointment and get back the same day. Well, here's the problem. If the ferry's not running, now it's going to throw out the whole appointment. Or if the ferry is running, from where we live in Victoria, we're not even like we can't even catch a major on a major bus route to get down to the feeder route.
it's a long way down to
It
get
is,
there.
yeah. I mean, like we're
Yeah.
not we're on a major bus route, and one of ours doesn't even connect up with
Yeah.
the major bus route that goes to BC Ferries to
Yeah.
catch the first ferry in the morning. We have to walk or take a taxi. Well, trying to walk down that.
When you get off the ferry, it feels like it's almost an hour, isn't it? Like
Oh,
it feels like an hour anyway.
on BC Ferries from Swartz Bay to Sawasan.
Like
Uh,
if you're going from the terminal
yeah,
to like downtown Victoria,
yeah. It's
how long does that take?
if you take an express bus, it's about 50. It's about 50 minutes, 55
Yeah,
minutes.
so it's almost an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. If you take the bus that's not express, it's just over about an hour or a few minutes over an hour.
Yeah.
It's about 10, 15 minutes longer, maybe 20, depending on traffic. So, but here's the problem is you can get down to the terminal first thing in the morning, but it makes it an extremely long day, especially if you have to go for a medical procedure later in the day. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump from where Victoria to Vancouver. People think, oh, it's really close. It's actually not. Like you're looking and you factor in an hour for your commute on the bus, and I mean from downtown that is.
And then the actual ferry trip
Yeah,
is what, Brent?
yeah.
It's
Like from where we are, like we just factor another 20 more minutes longer on another bus route to get
yeah.
down right to connect onto the major bus route,
Yeah.
and then the ferry from Swartz Bay. I mean from Swartz Bay to Swasan is an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It used to be an hour and 35 minutes, everyone, but it's an hour and 40 minutes now. The ferries are going a little bit slower now because they're getting older. They're taking
They're
more.
legacy. They're legacy
Yeah, they're
vessels
legacy
now.
ferries. So they're saying, help, help. We need more funding. So now you're at Sawasan. Now you have to walk off, and that takes a period of time, right? That is a long ramp to walk off that ferry all the way down to the bus terminal where the buses pick you up.
Yeah.
It is a long walk, that platform. And I'm going to get into that point in
I
just.
remember when I was healthy, I did it. I was it in 2001. I actually went to Victoria by myself for the first time,
Mhm.
right downtown to Victoria. I took the ferry over. and I'd never been to Victoria by myself. So I had no idea really where I was going, and that was a really cool thing. I think
Yeah.
I ran into like a really elderly couple, and they helped me and everything. It
Hmm.
was really cool, but it was
Yeah.
so fun. And one of the things I wanted to mention was, so this was back in 2001. And the walk-on price for me, Brent, and I don't even think I used my uh, disabled passes. I don't know if I had one at the time. So it was just a standard walk-on price, and it was $7.
Hmm.
$7 for the walk-on in 2001. That was the price of it.
Wow. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll get to the point of as a recommendation to BC Ferries in just a moment, but just to conclude the travel time to basically downtown Vancouver. So you get to Tsawwassen, right? Say you get off the ferry. So now you just spent, an hour commuting or hour and 20, about an hour and 20 minutes commuting from your home residence to the ferry terminal. Now you wait for that ferry, right? So you have to get there. You can't just get there and get on the ferry. You got to wait for the ferry and time it up. Buses actually time it up really well with the ferry. They do their best. The bus operators do their best to get there on time so that the
Hmm.
commuters can get onto the ferry. So now you get there about approximately 25 minutes to 20 minutes before the ferry goes, right? So
Hmm.
now you got that time again. So the time's clocking on here, and so you get to get on the bus at the ferry terminal in Tsawwassen. They leave about five to the hour, or on the hour, and they got lots of different buses that are lined up there. After advocating, Sonia and myself advocated and pushed TransLink a lot on that, and to make sure they got more buses actually lining up there because we ran into so many times that we'd get off there and one bus or like one long extension bus or maybe two. Well, there was
Hmm.
enough for it to fill up like four bus loads of people. Yeah. So if you miss that bus, you got to wait like another hour at the ferry terminal. It takes about 40 minutes to get down to Bridgeport Station, the Canada Line station, and then it's about another 30 minute. Yeah, it's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes approximately. Depends if you miss that train because they run quite frequently into downtown Vancouver. If you're going right to Waterfront Station on the Canada Line, you can get off and then walk along the platform and connect on to the old original Expo Line train if you're going to downtown Vancouver from Waterfront. If you're going eastbound, yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway, um, that's a lot of walking. So my recommendation to BC Ferries would be when you're at Tsawwassen Terminal. I was thinking about this the other day in preparation for today's show. I was thinking, now this would be a neat idea. I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. So BC Ferries and Tsawwassen to enhance accessibility. To me, I advocate very strongly about accessibility to make life just a little bit better for people. I'd like to make it a lot better, but I'm not going to be on here about talking about all the, there because I mean it leans into like economic things about accessibility for income wise for PWD or seniors, people low income, or anybody
Hmm.
who maybe they've got families with children. I mean, it all really stems down to economics, also, right? Income wise, but accessibility, mobile wise, is what I'm going to be focusing on here for you. Is getting people from point A to point B in a faster, more accessible fashion. So when they get off that ferry, you're now walking along the platform. You're coming off BC Ferries. You've got the ramps that they put up there. I call them the drawbridge. Walk the plank. Yeah, the
Yeah,
planks.
yeah.
Yeah, aye, Captain. Walk the plank. Yeah. So now you're actually walking off there, okay, and that's fine. Those platforms are going down, so that's good. If you're on a stroller or you're in a mobile scooter or a wheelchair, yeah, your wheels are going to start moving pretty quick because you're going you're going downward, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's always hard going. You're going up the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a long platform that you have to walk along. Once you get out of that waiting room area, because when you're coming off the ferry, the waiting room area is actually over to your right hand side. So you're coming off there, you're looking at the waiting room, go, hey, wow, I remember when I was getting on that ferry. Wow, that's really packed in there. But
Hmm.
you got all these people behind you, like they're going full tilt right behind you, like you're going to get cut off, if you don't keep moving the same pace.
Right.
So here's the thing: you put the escalators, making as like airports have, like a walking escalator on that platform all the way when you get off from that waiting room, all the way down
That
to
would be good. That would be good.
down to the where you before you exit, you go down the escalator.
Like a
Yeah, it's a
flat
flat
thing.
one, like
Yeah.
airports have.
Yeah.
Now that would be ideal because it actually will escalate the transition time from point A to point B in a very faster, more accessible way. Because that's a lot of walking. If you can't go fast, I mean, at least if you're on an escalator, you can maybe move to the side and go on that, and then other people can still use the other part of the platform to walk. I think it'd be good for everybody, and it's a huge investment at first, a cost, but it pays off in the long run because it's great for tourism. It's great for people with mobility needs. It's great for everybody, really. Yeah, I'd say rather than procrastinate, I'd say just do it. Like invest money into it.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of turns into our next part of our podcast, our show is so how can they afford to do all these things?
Yeah. That's the question. You had a Twitter post you wanted to share.
I did, and I'm
Let's transition to that
yeah,
because that talks a lot about the money.
yeah,
And again, we got to say that what you the video you're about to see, it's basically talking about needing to increase fares by at least minimum 30%, probably 50%, just to maintain the status quo
mhm,
of like garbage right now because a ferry's breaking down and cars having to back off the ferries and then getting E. coli in the water and all that kind of stuff.
mm,
So just to maintain that is going to
yeah.
be like a 50% increase.
I'm glad that this doesn't have E. coli in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. At least I hope not. Well, actually, I'm not on BC Ferries. I'm at home. Yeah,
I think you're safe, Brent.
I think I'm safe. Yeah, just joking on that one. But anyway, I got a post here on social media. There was a person who goes a person named Will. It's Will. Will got the jab, and that's his Twitter handle. He has quote tweeted a post from Jordan Armstrong from Global BC News.
He's a
Jordan,
reporter, yeah.
yeah, and Jordan Armstrong is a great reporter. He's followed the story along with BC Ferries, the breakdowns, covered the story, what we just talked about the contaminated water on BC Ferries. Kudos to you, Jordan Armstrong, for following the story along. I echo your sentiments on the frustrations of accessibility of ferries breaking down and just not being reliable. And so Will has said here, time to end this semi-privatized nonsense. Nonsense, he says, that was created by the BC Liberals and Kevin Falcon. Well, in the day, yes, I remember when it was privatized.
Right.
And bring back to a crown corporation.
Yeah.
Or, better yet, he says, as part of the BC Highways system.
Exactly.
Kudos
100%.
to you, Will, on that.
100%.
I totally agree with you, Will, on that, and that is one thing that our late Premier, Mr. John Horgan, he advocated when he was in opposition very hard on that. I had conversations with John.
He wanted it to be a crown corporation again, like totally.
He did.
100%.
He did.
Yeah.
I talked to him even when he was in opposition, before he became premier. Even when he became premier, John was quite the advocate for wanting to have BC ferries built in our local shipyards
Like they used to be. Like
yeah,
they used
exactly.
to be.
And he did said, he goes, I won't stand down on that, Brent. I still stand by that. And so he was premier. So when things can't get done when he's premier, Houston, we got a problem. We got a problem with our systemic barriers to wanting to make things more accessible for our public, for our eyes.
You know what it is, Brent? It's the Mud Hut Wing. Remember,
Yes.
John Horgan in his
Yep.
in the last book that he wrote
Yep.
before he passed away, he talked about the Mud Hut Wing
Mm-hmm.
of the BC NDP party,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that Mud Hut Wing is David Eby, and that's why I put David Eby on the thumbnail
Mm-hmm.
in the life preserver there on in the orange life preserver, is because he's part of the Mud Hut Wing that railed against. He's the one that pushed back on. He's one of the ones that pushed back on John Horgan about, you're crazy. We don't want to go back to Crown Corporation. Let's build our ferries in China.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build our ferries in
Mm-hmm.
China. You know,
And that's why I think John Horgan got extremely frustrated too, because John, yeah, I mean, he always owned up to different mistakes that he made. Sure, he would apologize. John wasn't, I mean, perfect. I mean, no premier was perfect, but John did his level best to
yeah.
try to make the province a better place for everybody. I know some people would disagree with me on that. And that's fine. You all have your own opinion about Mr. Horgan, but John Horgan did his level best. I think a lot of people called him their super dad, right? He was the super dad of the province. His dad
Yeah.
jokes, I mean, he just cracked me up so many times. I mean, I remember there was one there was one quote I'll say on the podcast, and people think, where is he going with this one? John told me something one time. He says, Brent, eventually I won't become premier. Like, I won't be premier any longer. I have to pass the reins on to whoever may be my successor, whoever takes over, right? I mean, what? What are
The
you
Mud
saying?
Hut.
I
Somebody
said,
from the
what?
Mud Hut.
And you don't want to be premier any longer? He says, I like what I do. I just don't always like the job that I do. If that makes sense to you, Brent. And yeah, that makes sense. He goes, okay, so you get it. I go, I get it. So there's a lot of responsibilities when you become premier. There's a lot of decisions makings that you got to do that are not always easy decisions. But he says, I expect the people that I communicate with, this is where he told me, I expect people that I communicate with that are all on the same playing field so that I can try to make life better for people. But when they're not all on the same page, it really creates a whole ripple effect of a negativity. And I said, okay, but whoever gets that position down the road, and he said, we know what happened, the fate of when our former premier was in power. You remember that? You and Sonia were there that day. What? Yeah, I remember. You and Sonia were there that day. I was still in opposition, right? Remember? Where? At the legislature. Where do you think? I mean, that's where you guys go. I mean, to advocate, to hold us accountable. Right, right. I remember that. He goes, yeah. So you're up in the gallery, and they did a confidence vote. They did a confidence vote on the premier, right? And people lost confidence. And you guys, a whole bunch of you all got up and you started cheering. And I think it was like, hey, hey, ho, ho, Christy Clark's got to go. I said,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. It goes, yeah, I remember that. And so I said, yeah. And I said, yeah, in the gallery, nobody's allowed, just so everybody knows, in the People's House, the BC Provincial Legislature, and you're in the gallery, you have to be very quiet. You're not allowed to give an opinion. You're not allowed to wave your hands. You're not allowed to, unless you were, unless your name was brought up and that you can stand up and wave, or if you have an MLA or a member of Legislative Assembly waves at you, yes, you can acknowledge. But this was an exception where we all got up and they couldn't even stop everybody. We all got up and cheered. Why? Because it was victory. It was basically saying the premier was out of touch, just lost control of the province. So what the moral of the story,
Fast forward to now.
fast forward to now, is what
Yeah.
John Horgan had said to me was, whoever becomes premier down the road, if they take the job too much to their head, right? If it goes to their head too much and their head swells up like a balloon, it needs to be popped like a
Yeah.
helium balloon. And I didn't know at the time what he meant. I was just, wow. I started laughing. He goes,
That sounds like David Eby to a T right
yeah.
now.
He said, he goes, if it goes to their head and it swells up like a balloon, like a
Yeah.
helium balloon, you know what you got to do, Brent? No, what do we do? You got to pop it. And he goes, Brent, it's a dad joke. And then he taps me on the shoulder. He goes, we better get out of here before my security think you're holding me
But he
hostage.
was, he was talking about
He was
David
being
Eby.
serious. He was
He
being very
was being
serious.
serious and he was talking about David Eby. He was.
And at the same time, he told me, you keep advocating and you keep doing what you're doing about it. Talk about accessibility. You talk about rates. The 375, he says, it's ridiculous. I mean, our government's doing what we can do to try to get that fixed. And I think that's the part where I think John could have done a little bit more. I mean, yeah, like when he got in, I mean, yeah, he could have easily fixed that part, but I think what John was trying to tell me was that he was getting frustrated because he wanted to get that fixed. And that's
Mhm.
a fast forward to 2020, when John revealed that he was the only voice at the table. So I was connecting the dots. I was talking to Sonia about this. I kind of connecting the dots through the time frames of different meetings. And John used to throw little breadcrumbs down of you try to figure out little puzzles of what he's trying to say. He kept saying that he was the only voice at the table that would, to try and make decisions. So when it comes down to rates or accessibility or BC ferries, accessibility, it's huge because you got to have your transportation network. You have to have that
Yeah.
superhighway connected. Does it mean we're going to have to have flying ferries to go back and forth? I know that there's been discussions about people talking about, oh, just build the bridge. Well, I can tell you, back in the Maritime province, I haven't been back there in decades. I had an opportunity decades ago to go there with my mom. God rest her soul. I hauled her on a Greyhound bus, everybody, and she was kicking and screaming. And, imagine 5 days, 5 days. Yeah.
Mhm.
By the time we actually got there, it was a long haul. Probably see, well, why wouldn't you just take a plane? Well, my mom wanted to see the country. She wanted to
Mhm.
see the beauty of the country. And so we went all the way through the USA because it was cheaper at the time. She wanted to go through the US anyway. So well, why don't we go across Greyhound Canada?
Mhm.
Just, well, I want to go through the US. Okay. So anyway, we went all the way down and came up the East Coast, crossed the Confederation Bridge. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was, and they shut that down. When it gets very, very windy, they shut it down.
Mhm.
So again, they don't shut it down as much as BC Ferries does, because BC Ferries, they just keep getting shut down. But here's
Mhm.
the other issue, and I'm going to play the little clip that came along with Will that I posted.
Yeah.
It kind of corresponds to what I'm saying now. Is the federal government, they subsidize back on the maritime provinces their ferry system
Yeah.
and the Confederation Bridge, and the Confederation Bridge connects New Brunswick with Prince Edward Island. They chop the toll down. There's a toll that they pay on that bridge. You can get to the island from New Brunswick to Prince Edward Island free of charge.
Mhm.
When you want to leave the island, you have to pay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that's like if you're going to from Victoria and you're going across over to Port Angeles, right? You can take a bus, a transit bus, all the way to Bainbridge.
Mhm.
Bainbridge is on just on the other side of Seattle. It's like you take the ferry. They got a ferry. It goes all the way to Seattle. You come
Mhm.
back, and it's no cost, but you leave
Yeah.
Seattle to go back to Bainbridge.
Yeah.
There's a fee.
Yeah.
The same thing, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, though. I mean, because
Yeah.
it pays for the infrastructure, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not against tolls only if it actually pays for what it's supposed to pay for. And so I'm going to play a little clip here, and this is from
And then we can start to wind down the show
yeah,
after that, Brent.
sure. And the clip I'm gonna read you the little blurb of what Jordan Armstrong says about the guest here. So BC Ferries Commissioner Eva Hage says the system is underfunded.
Mhm.
So again, she says that the system is underfunded. So when I mentioned about the ferry system and infrastructures over on the east coast of Canada, or they get funded. They get pampered by
Yeah, BC
by,
gets $0. Zero
yeah,
dollars from the feds.
yeah, they don't get very much at all. I
Yeah.
mean, actually, I think it's Yeah, it's very, very small
It's
amount.
almost $0.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
almost.
yeah, and meanwhile, I mean, we have one of the great state of the art ferry systems. That's I mean, part of our Highway One, right? Highway One is supposed to be paid for and helped by the federal government. They control the highway system,
Hmm.
not on some of the rural roads. I mean, you got different roads throughout British Columbia, but the main highway is Highway One, and that's federal jurisdiction.
Yeah,
So BC Ferries should be getting help by the federal government. I
should
mean,
be an
it needs to
extension
be
of that.
evened out. It should be evened
Yeah,
out across.
yeah.
The problem with the Ottawa, they don't like dealing with BC. It doesn't matter which prime minister gets in. I remember John getting so mad. John Horgan was so mad with the federal government not giving federal healthcare funding transfer payments like 25%. Like it used to be way up there, and then it started going down, down, down.
Hmm.
BC has to give Ottawa two billion dollars per year, 2 billion out of the revenue. And what do
Hmm.
they get back? They get a little slap on the face to BC Ferries saying, "Yeah, too bad, so sad." Right? Same as transfer payments for social assistance programs. I don't know how much is getting transferred from Ottawa to BC every year. That'd be something to advocate for everybody.
Yeah,
So here's some homework for everybody.
I
Do
would
some
like to
digging.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, if you're watching, ask Ottawa, ask the Prime Minister, ask the Minister of Finance for the federal government. How much do you transfer to the provincial governments in Canada, meaning the territories, every provincial government? How much is getting transferred? We'd like to know. That
Hmm.
way we know, and we can actually then hold our provincial governments to account to say, well, why is the funding not there
Yeah.
for social programs? Because when you invest in people, that money goes into your transportation network links, meaning BC Ferries, transit, whatever it goes, right? So I'm
Hmm.
going to play you this clip here, and here we go. So I'm going to, hopefully it's loud enough here.
You think these fare buy downs, these big government subsidies to keep fares artificially low, have shielded the public from the reality of the path forward for BC Ferries and how difficult and expensive it is to get this fleet up to the modern standard it needs to be at?
Absolutely. I I I mean nobody wants to pay more. I get that, and we hear all the time that fares are too expensive, but it doesn't reflect the cost that BC Ferries are facing.
How do we get out of this?
It's going to cost money. Ferry users will be paying more, and they will be paying more before they see any real improvements.
Yeah.
You were Mr.
That's pretty blunt, right? You're going to be paying
Yeah.
more even before you see any real improvements.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's the point is I remember when the walk-on fares. I'm glad when you mentioned earlier about walk-on
Mhm.
fares. I remember paying $3.75, and then it went to $4.25
Yeah.
as a
Wow.
walk-on fare, and that was with a discount card, a BC Ferries disabled discount card.
Yeah.
Now, the last time we took the ferry, that was last year. Actually, we came over to visit you, Neil.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was in August. Yeah, we had to fight with our cell phone carrier back then. That's why I remember. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the fare back then, and my jaw dropped because it was $19.10 before we came over that year. But
Yeah.
anyway, last year when we came over, it was $20 even.
Okay.
Everybody. So $20 as a walk-on per passenger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, BC Ferries went up last Wednesday, so a week ago. So today we're doing the podcast. Today's the 14th of April. It's Tuesday. Normally we do podcasts on Mondays, everyone, but because we actually we had an just unexpected windstorm. It wasn't a major windstorm, but the winds were gusting pretty strong here yesterday morning in Victoria, and it knocked out our Talus service.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was out and it came back on for 2 minutes and then boom, out and then back on. Like, yeah, and I was going to try to use data to do the show, and I thought, well, no, I better not
That
do
would
that.
have been like
Yeah,
huge
it
money.
would have just gobbled that up. So
Yeah.
that's why we postponed it to today. So anyway, last Wednesday, BC Ferries put the fare up again for walk-ons, and that corresponds with what she just said.
Yeah.
Is that it's going to cost money.
Yeah.
It's now $21 for a walk-on passenger per person, and now these rates are locked in until next year. The BC government gave BC Ferries $500 million, $500 million just to basically keep the rates down. They basically to force the rates down. $500 million.
I think next year you're gonna see a walk-on price of like $35.
Yeah, and that's what she's basically saying is that the price, like it just 75. I think 75% of their revenue comes from walk-on passengers, and like for I mean, like a big chunk of it. But
which again, if BC Ferries went back to a Crown corporation, I honestly think it would be way better run.
Oh, way better, way better. It should never.
And again, like it still would be huge money. It still would be huge money.
Yeah.
And that's what our tax dollars would pay for. But I think most taxpayers would be okay with that idea because they would know, hey, we're getting a quality system here of quality ferries that are well run, that are ferries that are built by people here in BC with BC Steel and all the rest of it, helping BC families, the whole bit, like such an easy win, such an easy political win to do that, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at Washington State Ferries. I mean, there's I mean, down the harbor, I can hear it from where I am, and when the wind current or air current is blowing in the right direction, I can hear the Coho ferry going from where I am. It's like, look at time, and they sound the alarm or their horn every 3 times, right when they're leaving. They'll sound it actually once when they actually come into dock, or basically when they come in, or as a warning bell. In other words, 5 minutes before they go, and I can hear, oh yeah, okay, they're gonna get ready. And it echoes all the way up here. And it's like, I remember the time when we lived in Nanaimo, it's same thing. You could actually hear it way across the city. Same thing. It would actually, if you get the right air current, and Sonia's parents said that they can actually hear the ferry, and they live all the way across the city on another part of the Nanaimo. And I tell you, they can hear it. Like, oh wow, yeah, you guys can still hear it there, because we used to hear it when where we live too. It's amazing, how loud those horns are. And that's basically BC Ferries saying, help, help. When they sound the horns so loud, they're saying, government, like, bring us back under your arm. Like, they should not have contracted out when the Liberal parties, and I'm not here to, I'm saying as a nonpartisan, like, it doesn't matter what party gets in. Like, just damn well bring the BC Ferries back under your government. I don't care.
Do something that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
do something that makes sense.
Because it's about accountability. It's about saying, oh well, we have no control over what BC Ferries does.
Yeah,
it's not part of government.
Well, that's what David Eby said too, which is stupid. Is like, well, like it wasn't my decision to build the ferries in China, and it's like bullshit. It should be your decision. You have every right to veto that. And the fact that he says he doesn't, like points the problem right there. Exactly. That's the problem right there.
It's about taking accountability. It's like, okay, it's like, well, who gave BC Ferries $500 million then, David? Right?
I know.
I mean,
it came from you, David. It came from you.
It came out of our rates, David. That's why you didn't give us a rate increase, right? Affordability.
Yeah. But it's not my problem that we're building them in China. It's not my problem.
Here's the thing. Here's a quiz for you, David. I've talked to people that are union members who actually are supporters of under the BC NDP. Bill, heads up, they're not voting for you coming up next election.
There's a lot of people that aren't voting for you.
I tell you, ones that are union members, the ones that are actually work for BC Ferries, ones that are Crown corporations, there are a lot of people that are so pissed that they thought we got a rate increase in the last budget. Yeah. And when I tell them, no, the government gave us a $0 increase in years. One lady says, oh, I watched your podcast. She said, stop. She said, Brent, you are such a comic. I go, I'm not kidding. The government gave us a $0 increase.
Yeah.
Now, you know how bad that looks on any government, not even just the NDP, any government. So this is going forward.
Yeah.
And this will conclude today's show. I want each and every one of you to stand up in the legislature and actually demand the current government immediately raise the rates, do a retroactive amount back to the budget date. Okay, stand up, and if you have to make it as a confidence agreement,
Yeah.
so be it.
I want to have some of the NDP MLAs say that we don't have any confidence in EB anymore, because it is the truth.
Well,
they do not have confidence in them.
They should
It is
make
the
it
truth.
as a confidence agreement. Either raise the rates immediately, or we will actually fold the government. Now, I'm not here to say that I want an election. No, I don't want to have an election.
Well, I kind of do, just to get rid of EB.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I do to get rid of EB, but I don't think the province really wants one. But because what we're under right now, that David Eby has lost touch.
He's wrecked everything. So
yeah, I mean, during an affordability crisis, and there's no help from the premier. Wow. Hey David, where is the $500 grocery rebate that you promised during the election?
wasn't it going to be 1,000, Brent?
It was $1,000 per household, but by now it should be 1,000 because of inflation. So where's our $1,000 per person? Yeah. Cough it up. You promised it.
Taking this back to the ferries, my last comment, I mean, this is going to be a little minor thing, but I remember on the larger vessels, the legacy vessels, they had the Pacific buffet, remember?
Yes.
At the front of the boat, and you could go there. It was like $20, and I tell you, the quality of the food, it was 5-star cuisine there, Brent.
Oh yeah,
you could get fresh salmon and fill your face with all kinds of desserts, and it was literally 5-star Michelin star cuisine. And I think it was $20, and they got rid of that because of course it's not cost effective. But again, if you had that under the crown, as a crown corporation, I don't think the government would care as much. And again, it would become like an evergreen industry where you're supporting a shipbuilding industry in BC. You're supporting workers that are working on the ferries here in BC. You're supporting BC Steel, all that kind of stuff. And again, we said it spill over into your tourism, where other people's going to ride the ferries, and they're going to go wow, this Pacific buffet is great. Well, they don't have it anymore.
They should be bringing it back, though. I mean,
if they brought it back, that's my point. If they brought it back again, that would be such a huge win and such a huge economic tourism driver to have other tourists go, wow, I've never had 5-star cuisine food on a ferry before.
Yeah,
I mean, because that's what it was before. It was 5-star Michelin star quality food.
Yeah, I think I remember checking that out. It was say once a year, maybe once every couple of years, we would go and check it out just as a once a year treat to go and look at it. I mean, he had
again the last time
it's a dessert too.
The last time I did it again was back in 2001. So that we're going back 25 years.
Yeah.
And back when I did it, it was.
That's what I mean.
I think it was $20.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 25, but it was right around 20 to $25. So I thought, hey, that's fine, because it was fill your face, you could just keep going back, right?
Oh yeah.
So I thought, for that price, I'm gonna do it.
I think it was $23.95.
Yeah, it was under $25. I know.
Yeah, and it was for the dinner one, and
it was all you could eat.
I remember going to the salad bar, man. I tell you, I could. Yeah. I love my salads, and I was just going there and have all the salads. I mean, they would have everything that you could think of, all soups, and desserts. I mean, coffee, tea, pop. I mean, juices. I mean, milk. Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like a minor thing, right? But I mean, if they brought that back, that would be such a huge win again. It would be such a huge win.
But I give you a choice, though. I mean, if you wanted the traditional dining in their cafe on BC Ferries, I mean, yeah, go for it. If you like your white spot, yeah, I mean, fine. Some people don't like white spots. Some people they prefer another option. Yeah, and I think giving consumers options to choose, let them decide what they want, rather than but BC Ferries says, oh well, sales are down. Well, sales are down because really,
Because your ferry sucks.
your ferry fare is too high. Well, here's
Yeah.
the solution. You build more ferries, okay? You build more ferries, and now basically not going to keep breaking down as much, so much maintenance. Cut the top overhead cost of all the top bureaucratic garbage at the very top.
Yeah, the
You don't need all
CEOs.
that fat at the top. You can actually do a cost savings measure. If I was in there, I could do an overhaul right now and look and say all the cost cutting measures right there. But I'm not in charge. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Joy McPhail, who was a former NDP way back in the 1990s.
That was another funny video, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, but she's there. I mean, she can make decisions. I mean, I know Jordan Armstrong couldn't get a comment from her and got one of the other reporters to ask her a question. But yeah, I mean, good luck. She said, good luck with that. So yeah, right. I mean, don't take responsibility. And
Let's hear your Joy McPhail impersonation, Brent.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, well, I just want to ask you why BC Ferries is sinking. Well, I'm not the minister any longer. I wasn't for decades, and so yeah, I work at BC Ferries. I make these tough decisions, but yeah, good luck with that. Good luck. And this is no slight on anyone particular. I mean, it's like a little mimic of how silly it sounds like when you got a reporter asking you a question, right? I mean, just she's on holidays apparently. Okay, she could say, "Look, I'm really sorry, I can't answer that question or whatever," but they pass it off, and she just was very quick and cold to not even make herself available. Silly, but. To end the podcast, I'm going to play this. Hopefully people can hear it.
Oh, there you go. We can't really, I heard a little bit. It sounded like a fart, kind of. You can't really hear it, Brent. Unfortunately. It's not coming across.
BC Ferries sounding its horn.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's a horn.
Okay. They're loud. If you're out on the deck when it goes,
it's really loud.
Oh, wow, it's so loud.
Oh, it was a gorgeous day. Yeah, it's Sonia and I when the fares were a lot cheaper, we were able to take the ferry a lot more. Yeah, I mean we could go over to different small little islands and stuff. And yeah, I mean it was reachable. And that's what happens when you invest in people. People can actually get around. When you don't invest in people, they can't connect to other communities. They can't invest money, put money back into the economy. And so, David, this is what happens. Like it's a ripple effect. When you don't invest in people, this is what you get. You get people not going to their local grocers, their local farm markets. They don't invest into BC Ferries by going to other communities to maybe help small businesses in other communities. They can't put money into BC Ferries, right? Now, but the fact is, when you build it and you pull it under your own government, you could do it. It's a political choice, right? But you do it, it actually makes the government more accountable. And I know the reason why they don't want to do it because BC Ferries is billions of dollars in debt.
Yeah. And who wants accountability, Brent?
It would look bad on the books. It would look bad on the books for the government. That's why they don't want to do it, everybody. I guess people are saying, well, why won't they do it? Because it would look bad on the BC government's books. We owe billions of dollars. Shh, nothing to see here. Make the books look good.
That's right.
Moody's wouldn't like it very much.
Cut the books.
Moody's, the credit rating agencies who
We're going to get another credit down. It's been like 6 downgrades now, right?
Yeah, S&P had downgraded them too, right? They were the lowest. I think it's at 5 or 6 now downgrades.
I think it's 6 now.
Since 2021, since 2021.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, and so imagine if BC Ferries, if they had gone onto the government books, well, now they'd get another downgrade to say, well, you're not being responsible here. Well, no, we're not responsible for BC Ferries.
Yeah.
Well, you gave them $500 million, so yeah, I mean, where did that come
Let's
out?
finish with the song, Brent. Like a
Bridge
bridge over
troubled
troubled
water.
water,
I
I will lay
laid
me
you
down.
down.
Like a
Bridge
bridge over
over
troubled
troubled
water,
water.
I
Hey,
will
boy, Evie
lay
will
me
go
down.
down. Take care, everybody. And thanks for tuning in to today's podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share. And stay tuned to our next guest coming up later this week.
Gonna be a good one, Brent. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
good one.
be a great one. Take care,
Cheers.
everyone.